Adults of Reddit, what is something you really regret doing as a teenager? I sucked $$20-35 during high school. Stress. I look back on some of the it I stressed about and laugh. Obsessing over my crush. What a waste of my precious time and energy. Getting a memorial tattoo for my mom while she was on her deathbed in a coma. I was too emotionally ducked up to design it right. She never even saw it, and I strongly dislike it now. I love my other tattoo, which I worked on perfecting for months before I got it. So I'm not opposed to teens getting tattoos in general, but make 100% sure not to do it while emotionally compromised. Oh, I have plenty of things I regret, but while this one's lame, it matters. Anything involving extremely loud noises without hearing protection. Concerts, clubs, raves, motorcycle riding. I'm not talking about those situations where you think it's kinda loud, but those ones where you're standing in front of the speaker stack thinking, geez, this will probably damage my hearing. Spoiler, it does. I wish I wasn't so quiet. I had plenty of opportunities to have had a good friend group and even a boyfriend or two. I just let her get the best of me and made me think that no one liked me or cared about me. In reality, I didn't like me enough to let myself have friends. I should have gone out. I should have talked to people. And I shouldn't have been afraid. However, it has made me a better person now. I appreciate the people in my life a lot more. And I have learned to be confident in myself. If I could repeat high school, I'd go back and not treat it as seriously as I thought and just have fun with it. Thinking that the gangster, drug dealing, party lifestyle was cool just got me hooked on heroin and homeless and hopeless at a young age. And even though I am now sober, I always feel like I'm years behind my peers. Plus it's a literal daily struggle to stay sober. That's not something you think about when it's all fun and games. Before it gets way too real. You don't think about sitting in jail sick, or wanting to die because you can't stop getting high, or the terrible things you will do or that can happen to you. It's just fun, until it's not. But then again, I really have absolutely no clue who I would be had I not been through what I have. So I'm really on the fence about calling it regret. Some days I would absolutely call it regret. Some days I realize how much stronger it's made me. Edit. It trips me out how you all assume I'm a guy. I'm a 22-year-old female, haha. But I appreciate the well wishes from you all nonetheless. I have been sober since the 21st of July 2016. And shout out to our Opatis Recovery for being there for me when I need it. Thinking social status in high school matters. Going to college literally resets your slate. Being in such a rush to lose my virginity and be sexually active. Let's be honest. 16-year-old girls have no ducking idea what they're doing. Fapping was probably more enjoyable. Pussyfooting around my crushes and not just telling them how I felt. To those of you still in high school, just ducking, go for it. It's high school. Pretty much everything is transient. And besides, high school is far from the deep end. Just take the plunge. I fought with my mom a lot. I'm now about to graduate college. And my deepest regret in life so far is not listening to her while I was still home. Now that I'm completely on my own, I have screwed up many times. And each I've come back crawling to her more times than I can count just for her to give me the advice I rejected as a teenager. I regret that I was overly concerned what other people thought of me and completely ignored my studies. Even though I still think much of it was bullet. If I had just applied myself, I would have had so many more career options and better critical thinking skills when I was in my 20s. Took me 20 more years to finally get to that point. At age 17, way too young, tying myself to the person who would eventually become my husband, and allowing my entire, still forming identity to exist for and revolve around him. I thought I was happy. I believed I knew who I was and was fully aware of the potential outcomes of what I was doing, but I was wrong. At least about some of the important parts. For my own growth and development's sake, it would have been so much healthier if I had been legitimately single for a few years, just to prove to myself that not only am I capable of living on my own, but I actually like living alone and having total ducking autonomy to do whatever I want to do however I want to do it. I spent 20 years believing I couldn't make it alone because I had never tried. That decision is what I regret most about my teenage years. I punched a teacher and I am so incredibly sorry. I very well behaved until I was sexually assaulted by a friend's mom's boyfriend. I was too afraid and ashamed to tell anyone because he got me high and I thought I'd be in trouble for smoking weed. I was 14. I became disruptive, bullied other girls in my school, got physically violent with my parents, nearly flunked out of high school and ultimately lost my 20s to drugs and alcohol. He really tried to reach out to me and I got the wrong impression and lashed out at him. In our conference he told me he wasn't angry with me and I refused to apologize. He quit after that year and I know it was because I had made him into a joke at the school. I'm in my 30s. Have been clean for 5 years. See my psychiatrist and counselor religiously and have a lovely fiance. I'm about to finish my BSW and move on to grad school. My best friend is a teacher. My brother teaches on a reservation, and I wholeheartedly support anyone that goes into that profession. I have thought about reaching out to him to apologize, but I don't want to cause him any more pain than I did 17 years ago. It is seriously my biggest regret. He was such a caring person. Leaving my original Nintendo and games at an ex-boyfriend's house. Not telling my parents to buy stock in Apple or Amazon. Oh, and fracturing my hip. Getting pregnant. It makes life harder than necessary when you are that young and not ready. Lots of things. Not taking school seriously. General jacassery. Not saving money in a Roth IRA. Not brushing my teeth. Led to a root canal at age 18. Accompanied by some of the most intense pain I've ever felt in my life. And I now have 5 crowns. That's fun. Seriously. No matter how well I've obsessed over dental hygiene in my 20s on with teeth, the past will always come and bite you in the ass. I moved after elementary and ended up going to a middle school where almost no one knew who I was. I was the bully target in elementary and was desperate to escape becoming one at this new place. This girl, let's call her Anna, was the school punching bag and I picked on her so I could fit in. In 8th grade she survived a suicide attempt and ended up listing me and 2 others as her primary abusers. Our school had some serious issues, gangs, drugs, and physical assault on an almost daily basis. The principal didn't think someone getting their feelings hurt was a priority, so he just gave me lunch detention for a month. But I never forgave myself. Someone almost died because I was too goddamn pathetic to be myself. After that, she got bullied even worse by the other 2. But when I refused to partake I was put on the IT list as well. Got a big taste of my own medicine. Not taking school seriously. I lucked out and got into a good university. But doing well at that good university was really hard for me the first year because I didn't have any of the skills I needed to succeed. Writing good, quality papers, researching, even studying. And ended up with a 2.27 GPA due to it. Currently a senior with a 3.13, but it hasn't been easy recovering. Even if you don't plan on attending a college university, school is still important because it teaches you practical life skills, such as time management and working with others in a civil manner. And consider going to a trade school if you don't want to do the whole college thing. Trades are very important. But people stress going to college so much that high school students often forget that trade school is even an option. If your passion is welding or carpentry or something of the like, you can go to trade school and make your passion your career. Smoking cigarettes. Seriously, not even once. Turned down an athletic scholarship to play football. Would have stayed in great shape and gotten out of college with no debt. Thinking I was grown up and hanging around with older boys. I was 13 and they were anything from 17-27. I was taken advantage of and had no idea at the time. I might have known a lot about sex but I knew nothing about emotions or growing up. Starting to smoke. Yeah, I know what gets me about smoking. And I'm going to tell my daughter, no one ever tells you that you might actually like it. When you're a kid and smell someone smoking, it stinks to high hell. Smells like an ashtray, right? But you taste it. You actually smoke yourself. And it's different somehow. Self-harmed here and there in high school. The antidepressants made me feel nothing and I wanted to at least feel something. I wish I never did and wish I found out that some of my medication conflicted and possibly caused some of my self-harm tendencies. Now I go every day feeling emasculated and hoping that when I manage to find a girlfriend, that she won't think less of me or stuff like that. Edit. Wow. You all are very supportive. Thanks for all the kind words everyone. I used Tumblr religiously throughout high school, 2011 to 2015. And I really sort of see it as a double-edged sword. It became a crutch for my social anxiety. Sure, being in this community of like-minded people was a huge confidence boost for me. But beyond that screen I was still awkward and lonely. I feel I could have gotten over my problems better if I had ripped my nose away from my screen and made some more friends. I only did that towards the tail end of my senior year and into college when I finally got off that website. And it's really kind of sad to me. All these top comments sound like you all are nice people who just would have liked to have a bit more fun and self-expressiveness. I feel more out of place now that I look at my biggest regret. Man, my regret is just being so mean. It was not all the time though. It was just targeted to some people and only when I was feeling overwhelmed with social things. Instead of telling them that I wanted some alone time or something like that that is adult sounding, I just yelled hurtful insults at them to make them go away. I know I made one girl cry. I felt bad immediately, which just fueled my confused social emotions and made it harder for me to reconcile things with her later. I feel like I left a wake of destruction in my past. Not being physically active enough. Not listening when they said these are the best years. Being a tattletale. Really bit me in the ass. I was the awkward loner type that was depressed and made friends with teachers. Believed in the if you're being bullied, tell an adult until I finally learned after too many years that you gotta stand up to the bullies. Now I kick ass. Sharing personal information online. I never got stalked or anything, but nowadays some of that stuff still exists. I even put up stories I wanted to one day publish. Nothing comes of it now, but all it takes is one person with a vendetta against me to find out what stupid 15-year-old me thought. I spent so much time waiting for something to happen, like sitting on some steps outside of a house waiting for something to happen, hanging out with people I did not really like waiting for something to happen. I feel like so much time was wasted waiting for something to happen, instead of doing something or making things happen. Probably not going to be a popular one, but I regret smoking so much weed when I was young. Not that it wasn't fun, it was, but I really did slack off a lot, to the point where I was letting a lot of people down, including myself. I don't know what else I would have actually accomplished had I not smoked so much, but just the feeling of letting people down because of my own laziness is something I can't shake. When I was a teenager, I used to self-harm as a way to deal with my emotions. Now, my arms are covered with scars that I have to look at every day. Scars that I do my best to hide because I don't like seeing them and I don't want others to either. They are a part of my life that have made me who I am today. But I think a lot about how I am going to explain them to my children when I have them, and that does make me feel some regret. Stressing out too hard to enjoy high school. Creating this username. Whenever I respond to someone on Reddit they're like lololol. Okay, teenage sadist. Being such an angry person. Angry at my dad because he was a jerk to us kids. Getting a protection order against him. Joining the army because I wanted to die and wouldn't do it myself. Not taking my medication. Bipolar. Not lightening the hell up. Wish I would have built up more self-esteem and confidence. Using SparkNotes for my senior year English homework assignments out of laziness and then lying about it. When I got confronted by my teacher, I lied about it, was promptly caught, and because my school had a zero tolerance policy on cheating, I was immediately suspended and not allowed to walk for my graduation. Looking back, I feel like the punishment was a bit ridiculous over a pass-fail homework assignment during the last few weeks of senior year. Nevertheless, I still regret it.